Okay, my people. See, since they won't let me go live, you know what I mean, and don't want this truth out here, they blocked me because of a post I made about the police department. Now, I know all police, you know, probably 3% of them aren't bad or don't have ill intentions towards people of color, but we've seen where the LA County sheriffs, Compton, whatever they were, got shot. And everybody assumes that the person that shot them were black. Well, I don't think that it was black people. And I think that they're trying to push a narrative about us as people of color. But let's talk about those police officers. So we have so many of our people that feel the need to go out of their way to condemn what happened to those officers. But you have no idea the basis and the foundation of what these police departments were built off of, to keep you down, oppressed, to take you back into slavery after you've, made your way out. So I want you to know a few things about the police officers. The same department that probably ordered the hit on their own fellow officers. I'm gonna let you hear it for yourself.
News investigation. An alleged gang of sheriff's deputies within the LA County Sheriff's Department known as the Executioners. Their alleged tattoo depicts a skeleton in flames, an AK-47, and a Nazi-style helmet. Mary Hernandez has a closer look at the pressure mounting on the department to open their files on any groups like this.
From inside the Compton Sheriff Station, a deputy's claim filed with the county about an aggressive band of his cohorts allegedly in control. According to the claim, members are branded with a sinister logo,
which is a skeleton wearing a Nazi helmet with an AK-47 laughing,
and go by a sinister name, the Executioners, which according to the claim does not allow African American or female members. Deputy Art Gonzalez alleges the deputy gang is trampling on the rights of citizens and targeting him as a whistleblower.
Deputy Gonzalez, he's afraid for his safety right now, as he should be. This is a violent gang, violence, shootings, beatings.
Why y'all beating him?
Claims of excessive force and much more. And the timing. As community outcry demands systemic change, allegations in the filing claim that as many as 40% of Compton deputies are executioners or prospects. Rumblings reaching the sheriff.
Well, first of all, there is no gang of any deputies running any station right now. This matter has already been receiving very swift administrative action. We've already taken positive steps.
Pressure for change.
Mind you, that's the same man that called on LeBron to match the reward money. Called on a black man to match the reward money. Excuse me. The same person. Probably the leader.
Is intensifying. Professor Sean Kennedy at Loyola Law School releasing a 2-year study of deputy gangs, including the Executioners.
Often, the inking is attached to some kind of act of violence, including a shooting. It's the ultimate expression of your commitment to policing and your commitment to the deputy gang.
The complainant, Deputy Art Gonzalez, is a former U.S. Marine decorated for his service in Iraq, Afghanistan. Here in Compton, once praised for speedy action to save a 4-year-old boy shot in the head. The tipping point? Gonzalez says he witnessed a deputy executioner assaulting a fellow deputy. Gonzalez called a confidential tip line for internal affairs. To his shock, he says in his claim, the recording was intercepted.
Is within 48 hours, a recording of his supposedly anonymous call was leaked to the gang at the station.
He also reports that graffiti appeared at the station entrance.
Art is a rat, and that was placed at the keypad to get into the parking lot. So that's the most visible place in the entire station.
Compton, a flashpoint for high-profile crimes. Recently, the armored SUV of rapper YG in the middle of a shootout. And an 18-year-old security guard, Andres Guardado, chased by 2 Compton deputies, shot 5 times in the back. Evidence of the secret deputy pack emerged in the wrongful death shooting case of Dante Taylor, Compton deputy Samuel Aldama forced to reveal his tattoo, saying that about 20 deputies at the Compton station have the same ink.
Skeletons, which is a symbol of death. There are flames on Aldama's tattoo, which symbolizes he's emerging from hell. There's an AK-47.
The Taylor family attorney put up huge billboards looking for potential victims. Aldama denied the group is a gang. The county settled for $7 million.
This is all taxpayers' money. So, yes, the taxpayers should be very worried. Criminal defense lawyers are going to be lining up, making motions for new trials.
The Gonzalez claim alleges the executioners brokered a deal to amp up arrest numbers. Members of the public were stopped for minor infractions. According to the Loyola study, sheriffs over the last 5 decades have been unable or unwilling to dismantle the deputy gangs. And the money paid out to settle lawsuits when they are caught crossing the line.
The inspector general gave me a ballpark estimate based on just public information that it's at least $50 million. I think in reality, it's got to be much, much more.
Villanueva says he is the first sheriff to impose a policy forbidding such groups. The inspector general says today there is no evidence that the sheriff has pursued any house cleaning. The county's watchdogs want the sheriff's records on all deputy gangs and the names of all members. The sheriff says due process laws protect deputies from such disclosure. As for Gonzalez now, he wants compensation for the years he had planned to serve, but now cannot.
Once you run afoul of the department and you blow the whistle on a legal comment within the LA County Sheriff's Department, your career is over.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
Okay, people, I want you to think about what we are being told in the media. How heinous it is that 2 officers had been shot by some rogue gang member. When just watching that, these people have been murdering people. Free, openly free, killing people of color. But these are the people that we want to protect us. I'm going to give you another thing. I'm going to let you hear it from the mayor, the same police department, what they've done to her. We already know that they've already beaten other officers, you know. So who's to know those 2 officers that they got shot, they may not have wanted to be dirty. You know, they may have wanted to serve and protect their community, but that wasn't what these decorated officers and their sheriff really wanted. But here's the mayor of Compton.
The community, and then they cover their tracks. It is unacceptable.
Its members, the executioners. Today, city leaders in Compton say they're fed up. They're calling for a federal investigation. And as Carlos Granda reports, the mayor of Compton herself is speaking out about her own harrowing experience.
They terrorize the community, and then they cover their tracks. It is unacceptable.
Is the Compton Sheriff Station being run by the executioners, a gang of rogue deputies with matching tattoos? Sheriff Alex Villanueva denied it last week, but today Compton's own mayor, Asia Brown, shared her own experience being pulled over by Compton deputies in June of last year.
And I rolled the window down and asked why was I being pulled over. Within seconds, almost 7 to 9 sheriff's deputy vehicles descended upon the scene. They ordered me out of my vehicle and they asked me to put my hands on top of the police vehicle so they can search me as if I were a criminal. Mind you, I was accompanied by my husband and my infant daughter in the back seat. I do not look like someone that is trafficking drugs. I was in my family vehicle.
Her baby crying, her husband and car searched for drugs. Asia Brown says deputies let her go after they realized she is the mayor. But even after filing a complaint, Mayor Brown says she's received no satisfactory answers from the Sheriff's Department.
It's unacceptable. We will send a clear message to the LA County Sheriff's Department that you clean your house. You get your house in order, and we will surely help you do that. You have executioners, you have gangs in your own house.
News of the executioners came to light last week in a claim filed by Compton deputy Art Gonzalez. He says executioner deputies at the Compton Patrol Station celebrate shootings with tattoo parties, set illegal arrest quotas, and retaliated when he tried to blow the whistle. Compton community members say that sadly this is nothing new. Derek Cooper was arrested by Compton deputies last fall in front of the kids he leads in a youth academy.
I don't even know what I'm being arrested for. I was shipped in a bus down to, the county jail.
I'm tired of seeing black men get on TV and cry, so I'm not gonna play the rest of that. But because we're not a weak race of people. But this is what we deal with. See, the media poses a whole nother story about what goes on in our lives and how we supposed to support them, and they fool and trick people of color into being sympathetic towards people who don't give a damn about you. So the truth is the only thing that is going to get us over this hump. And if you can't accept the truth, if the truth is too hard and brutal and harsh for you, maybe you need to go through what you're going through. But I don't want my children to continue to go through what we've been going through. You know, I've been blocked for telling the truth. I made one post, you know, that I reposted from someone else. It was a meme, and they blocked it. You know, said it was false information or divisive. Divisive is murdering innocent people in cold blood. That's divisive. I'm not saying somebody that's out killing people that has a gun, that's different. But this is not that. And people, we got black people that get on here and say, oh, we can't accept this. This is unacceptable. You don't take hate. You don't know what that was about. How do you know their fellow officers didn't have someone to do that? I'm just saying. It may not be true. It may be true. But these are facts about those same police officers. But this is a part of America that they don't want to talk about. And let's go into, give me about, I'll say, 10 more minutes of your time to see the origins and what we go through. This is policing the black man. Arrests, prosecutions, and imprisonment. I just want you to listen for a second.
For the black men in my life, past and present, my grandfather, Robert L. Harris, my father, Eddie Walter Jordan, and my husband, Howard Neal Davis. Introduction by Angela J. Davis. Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Walter Scott, Freddie Gray, Sam DuBose, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, and Terrence Crutcher are just some of the names on a long list of unarmed black boys and men who were killed by police officers in recent years. Although black men have been the victims of violence at the hands of the state since the time of slavery, technology and social media now permit us to literally bear witness to many of these killings repeatedly. Millions of people have watched the video of a police officer choking Eric Garner to death as he struggled for air. Similarly, millions have watched the video of a police officer shooting Walter Scott in the back as he ran for his life. Who can ever forget the grainy footage of Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old boy who was shot by a police officer while he played alone with a toy gun in a park near his home? Two videos, one from a police helicopter and another from a police dashboard camera, show Terrence Crutcher walking away from police officers with his hands raised high in the air, just before he was shot and killed. These images have evoked feelings of fear, sadness, and outrage, and serve as a reminder that the lives of black men and boys continue to be devalued and destroyed with impunity at the hands of the state. To date, not one of the police officers who killed these men and boys has been convicted of a single crime. From the arrival of the first slaves in Jamestown in 1619 to the lynchings of the 19th and 20th centuries to the present day, black boys and men have been unlawfully killed by those who were sworn to uphold the law and by vigilantes who took the law into their own hands. The National Museum of African American History and Culture, which opened its doors on September 24, 2016, includes exhibits that tell the story of many of these killings. Yet these killings are not just a part of African American history. They have continued well into the 21st century, almost 400 years after the beginning of slavery, and persist with remarkable frequency and brutality during a time when America elected its first African American president. Many of these race-based killings have inspired and reinvigorated movements for change. The brutal killing of 14-year-old Emmett Till in Mississippi in 1955, the murder of civil rights activist Medgar Evers in 1963, and the assassination of Martin Luther King in 1968 all serve as markers on the civil rights movement timeline, as did so many other killings of black men by white racists. Each tragic killing sparked nationwide protests and renewed activism in the struggle for civil rights and racial justice in the United States. The killing of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin in 2012 was a pivotal marker of racial violence against black men in the 21st century. Martin was killed by George Zimmerman, a white man who called the police when he saw Martin walking in his neighborhood. Zimmerman, a member of a neighborhood crime watch group, reported to the police that Martin looked suspicious and that he looked like he was up to no good or on drugs or something. Ignoring the dispatcher's warning that he should not follow Martin, Zimmerman ultimately shot and killed him. Martin was unarmed and was on his way back to his father's house after buying snacks at a local convenience store. Initially, Zimmerman was not even charged with a crime, but after nationwide protests, he was charged with Martin's murder. A jury ultimately acquitted him. The killing of Trayvon Martin, the initial failure of the prosecutor to charge Zimmerman with a crime, and Zimmerman's ultimate acquittal captured the attention of the nation. President Obama even weighed in, stating, "Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago." Martin's killing also inspired the phrase, "Black Lives Matter." The phrase trended on Twitter and all forms of social media, and was displayed on posters carried in protests after Martin's killing, and after every killing of a black man or woman by a police officer from that day forward. Black Lives Matter ultimately became a social justice movement with chapters throughout the United States and Canada.
And has initially been infiltrated, taken over by some very evil people.
Many unarmed black men and boys have been killed since Trayvon Martin's tragic death 5 years ago. Many of the killings occurred after police officers arguably engaged in racial profiling, stopping and harassing these men for no explainable reason other than the color of their skin. In all of the cases where black men were shot and killed, the officers claimed that they felt threatened, even though the men were unarmed and often running away or retreating. In almost all of the cases, the police officers were never arrested or charged with a crime. The tragic killings of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Walter Scott, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, and others served as the catalyst for this anthology. But these killings also inspired the contributing authors to think about all of the ways that black men are policed, in the broad sense of the word, heavily and harshly at every step of the criminal process. In fact, black men are policed and treated worse than their similarly situated white counterparts at every step of the criminal justice system, from arrest through sentencing. These unwarranted disparities exist whether black men are charged with crimes or are victims of crimes. Police officers stop, search, and arrest black men far more frequently than white men engaged in the same behavior. Prosecutors charge black men more frequently and with more serious crimes than white men who engage in the same behavior. And there are disproportionate numbers of black men in the nation's prisons and jails. Criminal defendants, regardless of their race, are punished less harshly when their victims are black men. This anthology explores and explains the policing of black men
from slavery to the present day, and at every stage of the criminal process and beyond. Why black men? Black men are not the only people of color to be treated worse than their similarly situated white counterparts at every step of the criminal process, to continue to be oppressed and discriminated against. This book focuses on black men. In many ways, the experience of black men in the criminal justice system is unique. The most noticeable difference is that they are impacted more adversely than any other demographic in the United States at every stage of the process. Black boys are disproportionately arrested and detained. Black boys are more likely to be referred to the juvenile justice system than any other children. In 2011, black boys represented the greatest percentage of children placed in juvenile detention. 903 black boys per 100,000 were sent to detention as compared to 125 black girls. A Rhode Island study found that black boys were 9.3 times more likely to spend time in juvenile detention than white boys. Over half the students arrested at school in the United States and referred to the juvenile justice system are black or Hispanic. While black students represent only 16% of student enrollment, they represent 27% of students referred to law enforcement and 31% of students subjected to in-school arrests. Black male students alone make up 18% of all referrals and arrests. Black men are disproportionately arrested. African Americans are 2.5 times more likely to be arrested than whites, and 49% of black men can expect to be arrested at least once by age 23, compared to 44% of Hispanic men and 38% of white men. Police officers are permitted to stop and frisk individuals if they have reasonable suspicion that crime is afoot and that the person is armed and dangerous. However, numerous studies have shown that the practice of racial profiling has resulted in black men being targeted and disproportionately stopped, frisked, and arrested. For example, the New York Civil Liberties Union analyzed the New York Police Department's 2011 Stop and Frisk database and found that 41.6% of all stops were of black and Latino men between the ages of 14 and 24, even though they make up only 4.7% of the population of New York. The same study found that no crime had been committed in 90% of the stops. Black men were disproportionately stopped. The number of stops of black men exceeded the city's entire population of black men by 9,720. Black men are more likely to be killed or injured during a police encounter. While more whites are killed by law enforcement than people of color, African Americans are killed at a disproportionate rate. In fact, black men are 21 times more likely to be killed by police than white men. Between 2010 and 2012, black boys ages 15 through 19 were killed at a rate of 31.17 per million, compared to 1.47 per million for white boys of the same age group. In addition, a significant number of black men killed by police were unarmed. Data collected from January 1st, 2015 to May 31st, 2015 revealed that African Americans killed by the police were twice as likely to be unarmed as whites. An overwhelming 95% of these victims were men. Not all violent encounters with the police result in death, but black men fare worse in non-fatal encounters as well. A study conducted by the Justice Department's Bureau of Justice Statistics, BJS, examined police use of non-fatal force between 2002 and 2011. The study found that African Americans were more likely to experience non-fatal force at the hands of police officers than either Hispanics or whites. Black men are disproportionately imprisoned and receive longer sentences. African Americans make up approximately 35% of the prison population in the United States, and by the end of 2015, black men constituted 34% of the American prison population. In 2015, 5,165 in 100,000 black men ages 25 to 29 were imprisoned, compared to 2,165 Hispanic men and 921 white men of the same ages. Remarkably, the number of black men in prison or jail, on probation, or on parole by the end of 2009 roughly equaled the number enslaved in 1850. 1 in 3 black men born in 2001 can expect to be incarcerated in his lifetime. Black men serve more time for their crimes than others similarly situated. Data collected by the U.S. Sentencing Commission between December 2007 and 2011 revealed that black men in federal prisons received sentences 19.5% longer than white men sentenced for the same crime. Blacks are also disproportionately sentenced to death. As of 2014, the national death row population is approximately 42% black, while the overall black population is only 13.6%. For all of these reasons, this anthology focuses on the plight of black men and boys. The extraordinarily disproportionate mistreatment of black boys and men at every step of the criminal process is explored in depth. As the essays make clear, the issues and problems are complex, as are the solutions. The authors are scholars, lawyers, and activists who have studied and, in some instances, personally experienced the phenomena about which they write. In these informative, well-researched, and sometimes poignant essays, the authors examine and explain the policing of the black man. Policing the black man.
Now, these are all statistics, facts about how people of color have been treated, mainly the black man, by the United States in their policing system. So, generally, yes, we should feel that there should be police reform, total reconstruction of this system, because it was designed to oppress us. They know the data. They know the facts because they are doing it. The truth cannot be altered or changed. The next show will be about medical apartheid, how their system has been experimenting, murdering, literally using us as guinea pigs for over 400 years. Facts, not opinion, not divisive speech, none of this. None of this is meant to be divisive. It's meant to bring light to a reality that is hidden, that is designed to be hidden, and that is meant to control. Well, you don't control us anymore. Those that are controlled, you can have them. But those of us that demand to be free and have the facts about your actions, you have to listen. Listening brings along dialogue. Dialogue brings along understanding. Once you understand the other side of the story, the truth, then you will be set free. It said the truth will set you free. All of this misconception about the black man, we're not that. Every race has its idiots, fools, cowards. We come from an era where we had to fight. We didn't use guns. You either got whooped, or you won. Either way, you didn't kill your brother. You didn't sell your brother out. You loved one another. But for them to make us feel guilty and like we have to apologize for something we have nothing to do with. You know, this is not to bash the police department. It's to bring reality and clarity to a situation that's been covered and lied on and lied about for too long. We aren't the enemy. We aren't the boogeyman. But we will fight the boogeyman and protect our children. Real men will. So for those of you that report on Facebook and all these different platforms to get the truth suppressed, you can't suppress the truth. The truth is here and it's gonna be told. You know, you all are animals. Some of the things, the heinous things that you've done to people of color. And we still persevere. We still forgive. Well, I think it's time to stop forgiving and start holding people accountable for their actions, not just black people.